Hey everyone, I don't normally make videos like this, but I just felt compelled to speak to something that I see quite a lot, like some of the guitar lesson communities and beginners and things like that. It's a topic that drives me a little bit nuts because I believe in music theory a lot as a necessity to be able to navigate your way across the fretboard. But sometimes music theory, when taken out of context, can confuse people more than it helps. And I just wanted to shed light on one particular instance that I found needed some clarification. So what happened was somebody had posted a picture of a chord being played, something like that. And the question was, what is this? Because it doesn't look like a normal bar chord, which looks like this, the way we all learn them. And immediately all hell broke loose in the comment section saying, that's an A, that's a Hendrix A. And then the theory police came out in full force and no, that's A/E, it's A over E because E is the only obvious low note being played there. We don't know about this one here if it's being played with the thumb, so it has to be A over E. So that's where I want to take a bit of a time out and slow things down. Especially for a beginner, the shape and the intention really matter more than the finite details of that situation. If somebody is shaped like this and they're doing this, whether I'm playing that thumb or not, I call that an A chord. It's something that Hendrix did to free up his index finger so that he could do things like, I guess technically it's freeing up the pinky finger because you can't really do that if your index is up here, but by putting your thumb up here, it really frees up what your left hand can do, or right hand if you're a lefty. First, let's just listen to the difference. This is playing it the standard way. This is playing it the Hendrix way, so I'm still fretting all the notes. This is without the thumb, so I'm not playing this low E string at all. So again. If you didn't hear much of a difference, neither did I. So especially if you're a beginner, and especially for straight ahead kind of rock, whatever you may be doing, 99 times out of 100, that's just an A chord. There's no need to confuse it with slash chords. There's no need to get into the nitty gritty about being A over E. It's just an A chord. Now, I think what matters the most there is the context and the intention behind the chord, which leans to how you should name the chord. So if I'm playing that, I'll never write that down as an A chord. But if I was playing something like this, see how that bass note goes from in that context, I think it's important to write it down as an A over E because you need to be able to tell the player that you're doing this descending cadence kind of thing that starts on an F. And to do that, to get that cadence effect, you need to be mindful that that E is now your low note. So in a situation like that, absolutely, it's an A over E. But any other time, don't overthink it, especially if you're a beginner. It's just an A chord. So beginners, don't overthink things. It's good to reach out, but be mindful too that you're going to get a million different answers, and just my 2 cents worth is to keep everything as simple as possible and to really zoom out and look at the big picture of what the song is doing, before you go giving chords crazy names that may not have had any intention to be named the way they were. But you're going to see this one a lot if you're a beginner. You're going to see this a lot because, a lot of my influences too, like John Frusciante, will play a lot of his songs this way. Or even, he may not even have that note. The low note may still even be like an A in that situation. They sound like varying degrees of fullness, but they're all A. I would not call that anything other than an A. Same with this. Did you really hear the difference in the A over E versus the straight A, or with the two low notes removed? Maybe a bit, but not enough to distinguish it as a different chord serving a different purpose. So teachers, I would tell you to be mindful of this as well with your students, because when they're beginners, they're just looking for what's right and what's wrong. And if you somehow get it in their head that this is not an A chord because it's A over E, and then that opens up Pandora's box of unknowns and doubt in what they're learning, and it'll make them think that they're learning the wrong thing when they're not, and it may even discourage them a little bit. So I would really be mindful as to how you introduce these layers of theory, and really just encourage everybody to keep it simple when it comes to this stuff. Like, Hendrix was not concerned with what the low note was or what strings his fingers are or aren't touching. He was probably just thinking just the same way that most of us do. Major chords, minor chords, and then he had his own signature chord, which is a conversation for another day. But for now, I just wanted to clear up just a little beef that I had seeing all the theory police out enforcing an issue that really isn't an issue. And I hope that clears things up for some of you new players, and it encourages you to keep going and to keep learning, because you're probably learning more than you think you are, especially in the early years. And sometimes over analysis or trying to force things that aren't there could just end up deterring you from having fun, or deterring you from wanting to learn more. If you feel like you're in a world you don't understand, chances are you do understand it, but those micro details can come later. So remember, it comes down to the context and the intention of the chord. You really need to hear that difference to be able to call that chord something else effectively. Because if you're just doing that, it's just an A. You don't need to worry about it any more than that. So, hope that helps.